have to know that. You have to grow into that.
And also, music is so ridiculously subjective. And there's stuff that people love that I can't listen to.
Sure.
And there's stuff that I love that people are like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I mean, it's just always going to be that way.
Sure.
And you have one person's take on it, and it's the best thing ever, and another person's take on it, they fell asleep halfway through it. It's weird.
Yeah.
You know?
There are records like that where, but then again, at the same on the same hand, it's like there are records that people played me. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I hate this. And then 5 years later, it's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready for it. I didn't quite understand it. I didn't hear it in the right setting. Do you know what I mean?
Setting
But that's
is
also
super
what's
important.
beautiful about music and art is that it grows with you. It can. The best of it can really grow with you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, hearing the right song at the right time can leave like a psychic imprint on you of that song. And you always will associate that song with that moment.
Sure. Powerful moments.
Yeah.
Things that change you forever.
How old were you when you started doing music?
I was always around music. My dad had a great record collection, always playing music. My mom played piano, and her whole family played bluegrass.
Oh, wow.
So that's what made me want to play music, was I wanted to play music with my uncles. They sat around in circles, and my aunt, and they would play Stanley Brothers songs. You know, my grandma died. We all sang around her grave, you know. I mean, it's just like music is a real part of my family.
Wow.
So it's just always been there.
That must have been crazy. You all sat around her grave and sang.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we sang her favorite songs.
Whoa.
It was really nice.
That is really nice.
Angel Band by the Stanley Brothers. It's one of my favorite songs ever.
How many people were singing?
6.
Wow.
6 people. We brought our instruments. Mm-hmm.
A lot of crying? I'm crying just thinking about it.
No, I
Such
mean
a
it was her favorite thing, you know. It was her. She loved to sit in the living room and listen to her kids play music. It was like, and it's the reason I'm here now.
Wow.
It really is. I mean, because music has just really been such a part of my life.
Well, that's awesome when someone finds something that they really just tune into like that. And then you see them just pursuing it with such wild abandon. I mean, that's what everybody, as a fan, that's what someone hopes for the most. That the person who puts out the sound that you love is really into it and does it all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's been the only thing I can really focus on since I was about 15.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, girls and music is pretty much it. I stopped messing around with sports, really. Yeah, that was it.
Well, you guys figured it out, man.
I guess. I don't know.
That
I mean, we
sound
put out
nailed.
like 5 records before we even had a song on the radio. So, I mean,
yeah, but people were already talking about it before you guys had songs on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
You had such an authentic sound that you had already had a lot of momentum, but it was the cool thing to like that no one knew about yet.
We had a great fan base before we had radio success. Yeah, we've been really blessed. Like every year was better than the one before.
What is your take on what's going on now with radio? Because it must be strange to watch this business go from being something where you buy an actual physical thing to digital downloads. And I mean, what has it been like to watch us all move into the internet?
It's pretty depressing. It's really depressing. I don't think people can make connections with music like they used to. You know, when you owned something and you sat with it and listened. You know.
Yeah, like I had an uncle.
It's just too disposable.
Yeah.
You know.
Like sitting down with an album, opening the album, putting the headphones on.
Yeah, not to even talk about how the artists are treated with streaming. I mean, it's totally criminal.
Well, the streaming thing's weird, right?
It's criminal.
Well, explain it.
I mean, I don't know, like, I couldn't tell you numbers, but, you know, I mean, just like YouTube, you know, they just pay artists fractions of what they should be paying, and it's not treated like a real valued thing anymore. You know what I mean?
Well, we were discussing this the other day about streaming services, that one of the weirdest things about it is all they're selling is artists' work, right? I mean, that's all you have. You can't stream anything unless someone creates it. That's all you have. So that is what you're selling. So who's making all the money and why? And how's that worked out? And right now, there's a lot of opportunism going on, and a lot of people are jockeying for a better slice of the pie and a better position. But we were talking about Spotify and all those different things and how little money the artists actually get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird.
It is weird. It is weird, isn't it? I mean, can you imagine like going playing gigs at the Moore Theater and then saying, "Oh, we're just going to pay you streaming money, not the real gig money"? You know what I mean? It would be like, that would make no sense, right? I mean, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, you have a product that you invested your time and money into. It should be no different, really, right?
Well, I think there should be some sort of established number. Like, you should be able to figure out how much money are they making from it. Like, how much money are they making if they play your one of your albums?
True. Do you know? Yeah.
0.005 cents for a click for those.
And if you buy the
Drew's off
album,
mic.
how much is it per song? How much are they paying per song? For a physical copy.
If you buy the album like on iTunes or on like a CD?
CD or iTunes. What is the difference? What's the comparison to those?
No one can hear you, but he said if the song is 99 cents, you're looking at 30 or 40 cents.
Mm-hmm.
Big
as
difference.
compared to streaming, which is, what'd you say it was?
0.0005. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Oh, for time songs clicks, or every time someone clicks on it. Oh, God. It's just mass consumption. It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it all started with being able to put it on a server somewhere, right? It all started from being digital. That's where things got odd, where you could take someone's stuff and you don't need any special recording equipment to make copies. You make a copy on your computer instantaneously. You upload that copy, and then that copy is shared by X amount of people who just continually download it and share it. Things get weird. They get real weird when it becomes a digital entity, something that's out there in space, and then figuring out how you make money off of it. But I would feel like a streaming platform, all they have is someone's work. If no one lets them put their stuff up, then they don't have anything, right?
Yeah.
Like, the only benefit for you guys would be more exposure, which would help like ticket sales.
You know, the major record labels own portions of these streaming services too.
Oh.
It gets pretty deep. I mean, it's just intertwined nastiness, and the artist pretty much falls at the bottom of the barrel.
So the record labels have done the same thing that they used to do with physical records, and now they've done it with the streaming thing. They've just hamstringed everybody. Wow, that's crazy. So should people not use those streaming services? Is that the way to go?
I mean, ultimately, probably. I mean, artists probably shouldn't allow it, but it's like, you can't.
Yeah.
You know, you have to put it on there. I don't know.
So
I should have come with a spreadsheet and
do you
pie
have the
charts.
options? Like, do you have the option?
Yeah.
So like when they come to you and they say, "Hey, Dan, we would want to put all your,"
Absolutely.
and you could say, "No, thank you."
Yeah.
Is that what you say, or do you let them put it up there?
We don't have anything on Tidal, you know, but we have it on iTunes. They still pay it. I mean, they pay the highest royalty rate, right? iTunes. Yeah. Yeah.
How's Google Play? Because they have that now,
I have no
right?
idea.
That's the newest one?
I have no idea. You know, Google they co-own YouTube, so they get all that YouTube money.
Right. But don't they have to pay for like bandwidth and shit too? Isn't that all that expensive? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, but it's weird how the world just changed.
It's like I'm a musician now. I have to worry about fucking this business side of shit now.
Yeah.
And we all have to like know about who owns all these little portions of this shit. I mean, it's like that's why we get taken advantage of, because
Right.
we're just trying to be artists and trying to make music. We have to become college professors to even figure out our record deals.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's really unfair. And when you sign a kid to a record deal, it's like they pretty much are signing their life on the line, you know?
I'm sure you read that piece that Courtney Love wrote years back.
I don't think I've ever read anything Courtney Love has written.
It was pretty famous because a lot of people accused her of using a ghostwriter because it was so well done. But it was a piece breaking down, like if you didn't know that she was the one who wrote it, you would go, whoa, this is a scathing review of how the money is distributed in the record business. And it was pretty shocking. when you look at it from terms of actual revenue to what actually trickles down to the artist, the only thing that they're selling, the artist's work, and how these contracts are set up to fuck people over. But they've been around forever, and there's these giant machines, right? They have so many employees. They kind of have to justify keeping all these buildings and having all these employees, and there's a lot of money that needs to be earned just to keep this thing floating, right?
Well, it got so engorged.
Yeah, it's a tick.
At the height of physical sales, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to like get used to a certain lifestyle, right? I mean, you're gonna move back into an apartment next week, and
Suck.
yeah, it would suck. You wouldn't want it. You'd try to figure out how to. You might cut his pay a little bit, maybe to offset. You know.
Yeah, that's what they did. Yeah, they just wanted to keep. Well, they had to downsize quite a bit. I used to love record stores. I mean,
The last real job I had was in a record store. Like
Really?
The last time I was ever really taxed before being a musician, I worked at Quonset Hut Records in Akron, Ohio, and it was awesome. I learned so much there. I learned so much cool shit. People hit me to so much great music that I never would have heard of.
Well, back then, that was the way you could find out about it. You go to the record stores, and aficionados would let you know about
Guys
cool
who
stuff.
have dedicated their lives to learning about this stuff. You know what I mean? They're
Yeah.
like essentially college professors of music.
Yeah.
Right? The guys that I worked with were pretty much geniuses. They were all like 45, 55-year-old guys with like their living room was just all records. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And they would teach me things. Every time I would go in, they're like, "Oh, so you've never heard this? Well, then you got to hear this, and you got to hear this," and it changed me. You know?
Isn't it funny that that is not like a respected quality in the mainstream world, but being a
No, it's not
sommelier
funny.
is? You know what I mean? Being a guy who can like swish wine around and tell you what part of France it was grown, like that's something we look at and we go, "Oh, he's a sophisticated sommelier." But like, "Oh, that dude, he knows a lot about 60s jazz." Nobody gives
Yeah.
a shit.
Nobody gives a shit.
You know, you loser.
I don't
looking
give a
at
shit
your
about
records.
sommelier stuff. So I mean, I don't know. You got to come up with a different
Yeah,
comparison.
But you know what I mean. Like for a lot of people, it's
Sure.
it's a big, fancy, schmancy type thing.
Well, you know, I mean, it's all a bunch of horseshit. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like just because you don't have a college degree in it,
yeah.
it's not taken seriously. But what really is a college degree at the end of the day?
Well, when it comes to music, I mean, imagine if the only good musicians were musicians who had PhDs in music theory. No.
It would be like North Korea.
I mean, could you even put together the kind of music that you guys made if you really like thought about it in that way? Like your stuff is so uniquely creative in a way. Like you guys had a sound for a lot of your songs. It's like you would hear it, and even though it was interesting and unique and different from the previous song, you could tell it was a Black Keys song. You know, it was coming from two guys. You know, it's clearly coming from two guys. I think as soon as you add a lot of theory and overproduction and different people overseeing things and looking for the right amount of beats per minute and all that jazz.
Listen, man, it's like the greatest people are just the greatest people. If you could be around Richard Pryor and watch him, you would feel the magic. You would see the way he walks, the way he touches his lips, the way he, you know, like when I'm hanging out with Dr. John, I see it. I'm like, holy shit, this guy is like from another planet. You know what I mean? You can't teach that. It's total magic, you know? I can't even imagine, like, in L.A., Dr. John used to be here doing session work. Well, that's like when Phil Spector was making records and stuff like that, you know? It would be a studio full of Dr. Johns. People that just had their own thing about them. You know what I mean? Total self-confidence, their own style, no theory, no bullshit. It was just like, this is what he does, and we're going to incorporate this and this with 12 other guys who have their own thing. It's like magic. You know what I mean? And that's the cool thing about studios. We kind of lose now because people can't afford to have studios, and things change so much over time. It gets depressing. The more I work with these older guys who are just insane, it's just so hard to describe. You know, it really feels like magic.
Was it because everything they were doing was completely analog?
No, because it was a performance, and you had
Right.
to, like, not only did you have to come up with the part, on the spot. You had to kind of improvise. You had to play perfectly behind the beat. You had to just like, it's just hard to explain. You had to just kind of be able to understand the nuance of everything going on around you.
And there's less of that now?
I think that it's harder when people don't get to record together and make music together, which is the case. You know what I mean? Because you don't really make money playing music unless you reach a certain level, and it's so much harder to now than it ever was before.
It's harder to reach a certain level.
Yeah, absolutely.
But doesn't YouTube and things along those lines, doesn't it help some people reach a higher level quicker without the need for mainstream media?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. Beats me. I don't know anybody who got their start on YouTube.
Didn't Honey Band, didn't they become famous from YouTube? I think that's what started all. Well, it's a combination of things. It's hard to nail down on one.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't do it that way. I mean, we were like hit the road and we like playing shows, and we just kept, hitting up cities. So I wouldn't know. 'Cause
Right.
I don't know. I don't have experience with that.
So tell me about the Arcs.
Well, the Arcs is just a group of friends of mine who I've made records with for years. Guys who make some of my favorite records. Leon Michaels, Richard Swift, Homer Steinweiss, and Nick Movshon. They're just great musicians, and we've made different records together in various forms for different people. And then when we had free time, we would record for ourselves, just for fun, just making stuff up. And Leon and I, about a year and a half ago, got together just to categorize them, put them in a folder, to see what we had. And we had like 70 songs.
Wow.
And we were just sitting there. So we're like, what are we doing? Let's figure out a way to share this music. And so we just kind of came up with the Arcs, and that was our platform.
That's insane that you had 70 songs.
70 songs, yeah. I mean, every time we get in the studio together, it's like 2 or 3 songs. We can just make them up,
Wow. When you go into the studio, do you have any idea if you're in a session where you might improvise and come up with new stuff? Do you have any idea of what direction you're going to go in, or do you have a concept, or do you just go free ball?
I just always free ball, I guess.
Have you always done it that way?
Yeah.
So
for the most part. I mean, I have had some songs written ahead of time, but that's more recently. When I started it, we were just making shit up. I mean, Black Keys album were just totally improvised.
And so when you improvise, would you have someone recording it as you were doing it, or would you write down the lyrics?
Ourselves. We did it all ourselves. So in the basement, it was just the 2 of us, and we had a 4-track cassette recorder, and then we had a digital recorder. Yeah, no, I mean, we didn't have anybody helping us.
Wow. Well, that's why it was so cool. I mean, that's why it was such a, there's...
I'll do big sessions now, and there'll be an assistant running around, taking notes, what guitar I'm using and shit, and I'm like,
oh,
what's this guy doing?
Distraction.
It's so interesting. No, I mean, but it's just, I just never had that, growing up. It just feels so weird.
So would you guys record it initially as you